All right, welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Jonny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos. And I'm just looking at this ROKFIN fam right here, and it's got Jimmy Dore's video, the Convo Couch's video, and then Graham Elwood's video.
Wow.
Ron Placone's video right there on the same page.
Look at all these videos.
Jason Burmis. It also has David Spurrier, Johnny's favorite, Uphill Media, and more. So we're all lumped together on this beautiful same ROKFIN page, guys. If you haven't gone over to the ROKFIN, ROKFIN, sign up for free. And if you can endorse us for $9.99 a month, you got that EDD check. Hook us up. That means you get free content, all premium content across the Bizord, fam.
So Mercury is about to be in retrograde.
I was just about to put a tweet about all this stuff going on and saying, damn, Mercury is definitely in retrograde. And let's start off where it's really in retrograde, and that is in foreign policy. I know we're kind of been consumed. There is an election coming up here in the United States. There's been the protest about George Floyd's death. There's been a lot of things going on, but we sometimes forget what's going on around the world. Yeah. Because a lot of times when we talk about police brutality, some of us, in the honor of the great Fred Hampton, we tied into imperialism. So we're always looking on this show, we're foreign policy junkies, so we're always talking to people like Mark Sloboda and across the board. And something's going down, fam. Yesterday, China got into it with India, okay? This is something that needs to be paid attention to, fam, because there's a lot of implications. What does this mean for the United States?
World War III was trending.
Yes,
yesterday.
It was.
Again. We've been at the brink of war in the last year, often. Too often.
All right, well, let's go to the tape here. In an event that the Chinese experts call the most severe situation China and India have experienced along the border in decades, a physical clash broke out Monday between the two countries' border defense troops in the Galwan Valley. Now, the Galwan Valley is kind of near the Kashmir area, the northeastern part of it, bordering on China. And this is something we had to look for. There was these uncontrolled areas of Kashmir. There was always been a dispute about who owns this strategic area. There's a river that runs through it that leads out. So there's water there involved. There's strategic resources. There's military reasons why they want to have this area. And yesterday, 30 soldiers were killed, Indian soldiers, and including a colonel, fam. So what does this mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it does make me, and I put right here, in the 1962 war, the Galwan Valley, which is the area that was in dispute, was a flashpoint. Why China is now claiming sovereignty over it. And it says the first time since 1975, casualties were reported along the Sino-Indian border as 20 Indian Army personnel, including a colonel, were killed in a clash with Chinese troops in the Galwan Valley in eastern Ladakh. This is the biggest military confrontation in over 5 decades and has significantly escalated the already say that word for me. Volatile border standoff in the region. So yes, fam. But this is really making me, because I'm always looking, what's the United States' next move, right? Donald Trump has been uber aggressive with the Chinese. There's no doubt that Donald Trump and a lot of our Congress feels that China is the next geopolitical enemy that we have to confront, right?
Yeah, it's the new Cold War.
It is.
Yeah.
By far. We have the talks of the trade deal, whatnot. And even if you think that our trade deal sucked from NAFTA with China, whatnot, and Trump was just trying to rearrange it, he's played serious hardball with the Chinese. In fact, in Huawei, he had in Canada one of the CFOs detained there for a month. And stuff's been going on about that. They've been talking that Chinese has been kind of claiming that the CIA and the State Department was behind all the acts of detaining this woman. So this is really getting serious. Now, why I think the United States, and we have to pay attention to this, is that Donald Trump has had this kind of love relationship with Narendra Modi. We understand that, when he's courting Modi, he's courting that kind of conservative Indian vote, the Hindu vote here in the United States, which tend to be a little bit more conservative, and they showed up from Narendra Modi. We see him out there with Cruz and whatnot because he's courting that vote. But also, when it comes to the Kashmir situation, we have over here. Now, I just got a little clip of Donald Trump talking about Narendra Modi on YouTube. It's a small one, John, if you can put that up real quick. I just want to kind of show the relationship they have between each other.
Well, we can have a trade deal with India, but I'm really saving the big deal for later on. We're doing a very big trade deal with India. We'll have it. I don't know if it'll be done before the election, but we'll have a very big deal with India. We're not treated very well by India, but I happen to like Prime Minister Modi a lot. And he told me we'll have 7 million people between the airport and the event. And the stadium, I understand, is sort of semi under construction, but it's going to be the largest stadium in the world. So it's going to be very exciting. But he says,
so you can see that whole relationship building. He goes, I like Narendra Modi a lot. He's always playing the big negotiator, saying we're not treated fair by India. Yeah. They've had a little jostling here and there, but for the most part, Trump has had this relationship with India, and it really showed when we had the Kashmir situation, when Modi sent his troops on in. Trump says India and Pakistan can handle the Kashmir dispute on their own. Which he kind of signaled to a lot of libertarian votes, like, we're not going to get involved. But it was really a signal for, go ahead, Modi. Go do what you got to do. Because he knew that Pakistan's not going to stand up to India when it came to that situation.
Right. So. But then also, like, this, I feel like that was the right call. But then at the same time, his aggressiveness towards China has lost him a lot of those, anti-war people who feel like he's being extremely aggressive with China. And he campaigned on being a non-interventionist, and it just seems like he agrees with the neoliberals and the neocons on pursuing more of a combative approach to China.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talks. I was having a little dispute with a friend of mine yesterday talking about China, and he was saying that China's kind of infiltrated themselves in the Congress. I said, meaning lobbyist-wise, to get them favorable deals. And I listen, when it comes to the NAFTA free trade agreement, it comes to our relationship with China, I never held China accountable for what they did to the United States. No, it was the elites, it was the oligarchs, it was all the 1% going over to China and getting cheap labor and taking advantage of it. Right. I hold them accountable. Our Congress, those people, whatnot. I don't hold China accountable, and it's kind of ridiculous when you start blaming China for what happened with the United States taking advantage of that cheap labor and just killing manufacturing in the United States. So, I mean, it's kind of weird to see a lot of people just being so anti-China now, but it kind of fits the bill. I even feel with the COVID-19, a lot of the Congress members were pointing the finger to China. Look what they did. Look what they did. So you got this rhetoric and this kind of narrative that China, it came from a disgusting village in Wuhan, is what a congressman said on the floor, from Florida, of course. But yeah. So, I mean, what I'm doing is I'm looking, when's the next move for imperialism? Because I can see, another dispute going on and Donald Trump going in there and saying, we'll help you out, Modi, whatnot, just to kind of go at China. Yeah. Where we're moving ships into the South China Sea. This is something we have to pay attention to, fam. Well, imperialism, where are we going next? What are we doing next?
But China's got us beat in that case. I mean, I think the United States is at a very vulnerable place right now. We have begun to see the economic collapse because it's just starting. Like, it didn't just start with coronavirus. You're going to see businesses try to open back up, and then you're going to see them close down because they're not going to be able to maintain, because people are still not going out. Like, whether it's retail, whether it's restaurants, the volume isn't the same. People aren't making those same numbers. You have to think about it like in terms of, what the resources they're spending, the cost of rent, and how little help they're getting from the government. And so I think we're going to start seeing the U.S. economic collapse and the U.S. be at a very vulnerable position. And China has a really, really wonderful middle class. I mean, their middle class is strong.
Yeah,
the middle class is coming here, and the kids are studying here. And then they're going back home and opening their new businesses with a degree from an American university. I mean, they have homes. They have everything we don't have. And as authoritarian as China can be, we have to look within and see how authoritarian we are ourselves, yet at the same time, we're not helping our people out of poverty.
Yeah.
So,
and we talk about the geopolitics of it all. When's the last time China's invaded anywhere? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know we hear about this confrontation. It's not the norm for China. They don't go around having military conflicts around the world. You know what I'm saying? We have Mark Sloboda on. We talked about it. Some people like to mention what's the Buddhist monks over there in
you're talking about
in 1970s they invaded it. People talk about it, the country. Jesus.
Not
Tibet.
Tibet. Okay.
Refers to Tibet.
Yeah,
Before I was born, and I'm old. That's the last time they had a serious military conflict over there. A little with Vietnam, a little something going on. Like there was but look at their actions as a country, and the Belt and Silk Initiative road that they're building, which is going to pull more people out of poverty. So I mean,
nobody's saying China is like innocent, but what we are saying is like we vilify them to an extent without understanding that we have done far worse in some cases. You know, that there's good and bad, and it's another superpower. Again, it's just another major superpower, but we are the imperialists invading as many countries as possible.
And it seems that when we have these talks, though, in Congress, when they start pointing the finger at China, they're trying to manufacture consent,
of course,
to be more aggressive military-wise, like in the South China Sea, whatnot. And this could be another little loophole. Oh, this can be a way that goes, Donald Trump saying we can get at China. Let's help out Modi. You know what I'm saying? Let's do something. Let's cause another catastrophe or something to go on, to use an excuse to manufacture consent to get in there. I also put up real quick, and I was kind of trying to look up what's going on, looking at the history. In the moon of Alabama over here, June 16th, Johnny, right there, you're going to see that Belarus has a U.S.-sponsored color revolution underway. Now, it's kind of interesting. A lot of people talk about this gentleman over here who's the ruler of, make it bigger here, Lukashenko. He's they call him the last authoritarian, the last dictator of Europe, is what they kind of refer to him a lot. He's been in power for over 25 years. They've always had ties, Belarus, a lot of close ties when it comes to energy with Russia. And Russia gives Belarus a lot of the energy at a good price. But there's been some, it's almost like another Ukraine situation that went on. And in fact, Lukashenko kind of supported all the opposition, the Western-led regime change. He provided weapons and stuff to the whole regime change. And it's kind of weird, the whole situation, what's going on, because a couple months ago, Pompeo was out there trying to strike a deal with Lukashenko. But it seems like Lukashenko is very reliant on Russia. They're going to stay with Russia. So therefore, since we couldn't get them to break, here it comes again. Now we're going to sponsor another regime change. And it says, U.S. engineered attempts to overthrow a foreign government by stirring civil unrest are usually named after a color or at times a flower. The Orange Revolution, it talks about it. The Rose Revolution in Georgia, the Green Movement in Iran. But now the CIA and its assortment of supporting organizations seem to have run out of color choices. How else can they explain their latest attempt in Belarus called the Slipper Revolution? No, The Guardian, which published the Slipper Revolution headline today, but later changed it, did not come up with that stupid moniker itself. The U.S. Department funded Belarus EU TV station was the first to mention Slipper in its picture caption on May 31st. So
the problem with the U.S. involving themselves in relations with Russia and China and trying to come between and to vilify and start regime changes. We don't have like the actual physical like closeness that they have. Like it's so difficult for us to get over there. Like it's a war to lose. It would be our war to lose. I think.
My God! We got to get Mark Sloboda back on because I know he's going to have a lot to say about this. This is again. Here we go again. A little Ukraine situation taking hold in Belarus, which is right next to Russia. It's in I would say Eastern Europe. Way. I mean, it's there. It's probably part of Asia. I should learn that.
It's just not convenient for them to not be with Russia. They're just proximity wise. It's just beneficial for them. Like we have no business.
Yeah,
and I mean,
like,
it's just
we have a friend, Artissimo, and he's from Belarus, and Belarus to him is once again, it's like Ukraine, has a lot of Russian culture, a lot of people are loyal to Russia, and it's just weird things that take place because here once again, this guy who's the leader of Belarus was kind of supportive and was against the whole Crimea annexation. You know what I'm saying? So he was supportive of the West doing what they did in the Ukraine, but now he's kind of digressed into the same type of position that the Ukrainian government had to go to, and it looks like the United States is not having it. I guess they want him out now because they want power. They want to go out Russia, and they want to sack Russia as much as they can.
Of course.
American elitists and whatnot. So once again, here they are wiggling their toe in there. We got to pay attention to the situation. we got to talk to Mark Sloboda because shit's gonna go down in Belarus, fam. Just watch. Also, right now, South Korea troops. Oh, man, God, Mercury is in retrograde, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about this. South Korean troops and tanks amassed on the border of North Korea after embassy attack. Fam, what do you got over here? Johnny, did you put that in, or Fam, did you put that in?
Not me.
Oh, I didn't put it in. South Korea has stationed tanks on the board with North Korea and promised a strong reaction after embassy building set up to foster better relations between the neighbors was blown up. So once again, this is like an embassy building that was put there for North and South Korea to have relationships, and yet they blew it up. I'm really having a hard time understanding what's going on with North and South Korea. I want to know what Moon Jae-in's power is, because he's the one who pushed for these peace talks. And if South Korea is acting up this way, why? What's the implications behind it? I know that North Korea and Kim Jong-un months ago was really pissed off that South Korea didn't want to stop their American-led drills. In other words, we spend millions and millions of dollars, our government, out of our tax dollars, once again, to fund these drills. And when they do these drills, it's always an emulation of how they're going to attack, how they're going to invade. So it's another way of saying, look what I'm doing over here. This is what we'll do to you if you get out of line. So Kim Jong-un was really mad that they weren't stopping these drills. Now you have a situation like this. I'm just trying to understand the gist of everything, because I understand that North Korea is still very upset. They're upset with the sanctions. Nothing has changed. Nothing has been lifted. They feel like Donald Trump just used the whole situation as a photo op, and this is something we praise Donald Trump for, right?
Well, we didn't so much as praise him as say this is a good move, and the Democrats, establishment Democrats, were attacking him for it, saying that it was a photo op, and he's proving them right. He's proving them right by North Korea's response to it. So, yeah, is there any way that South Korea might be being influenced by people who do want this conflict?
I'm sure there are.
I feel like that's
we talk about South
happening.
Korea. They're just so littered with this colonial imperialism just set inside their roots of their old culture. They're fascinated by pop music, and there's so much these young girls doing plastic surgery.
It's very pro-capitalist right now. God. It's to a point where it's almost like worse than our culture. I mean, not that our culture isn't in that, but I think they've taken the worst parts of American imperialism and capitalism and implemented it. So I'm thinking that they want nothing to do with what North Korea is offering, because North Korea is so much more controlled and anti-capitalist.
Well, they're just anti-capitalist. They did, I'm saying? South Korea let in the capitalists. They let in the West, and North Korea did not. North Korea blew up this building because they want, and then here comes the South Korean tanks. They come amassing in. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's now they're at tensions again. In the DMZ zone, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people feel that North Korea is kind of blowing it up. North Korea just wants help. They want medicine. They want food. So they're not getting the attention. So, I don't know if South Korea really is the one to really kind of blame here for just holding their ways and stuff. And once again, I like Moon Jae-in. We've talked about this before. A lot of people are always talking about Trump and Kim Jong-un. And it's no, Moon Jae-in is the one who wrote these peace pillars years ago, and he's the one who pressed for this. And just seeing him going over the DMZ and them interacting together. But once again, there's a lot of controlled elements within South Korea. You know what I'm saying? It's very our troops are there. We have bases there. We do military drills there.
That's what I mean.
So how much power does Moon Jae-in have to really get something done?
There's obviously a lot of Western influence.
A ton of Western influence. We've never really technically ended that war.
Right.
And that was one of the things Kim Jong-un wanted. It's you have to say you're ending this war against us. You know what I'm saying? You have to release us. And we killed over 1 million North Koreans in that war. We bombed the shit out of them in the 60s. And I don't know, man. We have to, it's one thing to say, let's shake hands, let's do this, but then lift the fucking sanctions. Yeah. Sanctions are an act of war. Why are we keeping these people in poverty? Impoverished. In the Corona-19, we did nothing. Nothing to help them out. Fam, I'm going to have to give you the next section over here. Do we have any super chats, anything going on? We got 148 people in there. I see George Johnson, my boy from Florida. Hope you're doing well. We got 8 viewers over in the ROKFIN. Guys, I sent out 4 shirts yesterday. So,
Convo Couch shirts?
Convo Couch shirts are in the mail, sent on out. People expect shirts. I think, I don't know. Chucky Pagao, I think I might have accidentally sent her a second shirt. So, Jackie, if you haven't got the first shirt, it's on the way. If you got the first shirt, the second's on the way.
You have a super chat.
Ben Riley, suicide is an expression of control and agency. Location is very symbolic, i.e. Robert Fuller was probably killed, and we need an independent autopsy.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been kind of following all of these things, and
I've been on the ground in Palmdale. We're actually going back. Me and Tina are going back over there. So
today.
Yeah, I was just
expect an update for that.
After the show, Johnny's going to head over there.
Johnny Investigation is going to go hit the spot. He's going to go to Palmdale. You know, he does his work. True Rebel will be on the ground.
I have
doing true work.
Mr. Marroquin lived there for a decade. My good friend, Mr. Marroquin, and he said it's definitely one of the areas where there's a lot of racism and racial tension. So they went to City Hall the other day, and the mayors aren't even coming in anywhere. The politicians are all staying away. They're hiding from the people instead of facing them and saying, hey, this is wrong. The mayor refuses to go. So, again, we're in a situation where people are going to have to demand justice again, because these politicians aren't going to do it unless you pressure them. So,
it's so crazy. We just got to be able to fire them and get them the fuck out. It's so bad.
We're supposed to be in charge. And speaking of politicians, that are a disappointment. AOC, AOC is somebody that I was a huge fan of. Seriously, I was like, wow, she's awesome. She was a bartender.
She was our number one progressive. Running. In 2016, if you say who's your number one ranked person that can come in and go into Congress, we were all crazy about AOC.
New person coming in because
new person. You know what I'm saying? New freshman, potential freshman, and who she was taking out. Was really important too as well. Joe Crowley, next in line for Nancy Pelosi.
She's not Joe Crowley. She's not one of these absolutely horrible politicians yet. But what I say yet because it only took 2 years to actually shift and start selling out. We saw it with Venezuela and her pro-imperialist stances on foreign policy. We saw it with her inability to go after Nancy Pelosi. Endorse her, fall in line, call her mama bear. All these things are things she's saying. And then her focus on the Republican Party only without calling out the people that are the gatekeepers in the Democratic Party. And so it's been these situations that have led people to be start questioning her, understandably so, because even if you like somebody, you have to hold them accountable. And so recently, AOC endorsed Jerry Nadler, okay? And she said, he's respected and admired by progressives. No, he's not. I'm glad to have Jerry as a friend, a colleague, and a partner in every fight, and I am proud to endorse him. And she also said, whether the issue is climate change and the Green New Deal, universal health care, Medicare for all, or the kind of policies that will reduce income inequality in America, Jerry Nadler is there. So a lot of people are
Alex Knight just tagged Jimmy Dore. Look at this.
The transformation is complete, somebody said. And a lot of people were going after her, etc. But Pasta, who is Jerry Nadler, and why are people so upset that she endorsed him?
Well, I put a little video up here to show you who this clown is. You know what kind of Democrats I hate more than anything. So let's just unfortunately, I'm so sorry that I can only find the one off Fox and Friends, because let me tell you what Google is doing right now when it comes to hiding. You talked about hiding.
Yeah.
Politicians hiding. Well, Google is assisting them. When you try to look up something simple, you have to go through so much gibberish just to find what you're looking for. And a lot of videos were taken down. This video right here was taken down from YouTube from 3 different spots.
Yep.
Right here. And it's nothing simple. It's, once again, they're just trying to keep quiet. No news is good news for the Democratic Party if they can hide all their votes, all their rhetoric, all their narratives, all their bullshit. Mm-hmm. And a narrative like this just shows you how dangerous this man is. Take a look at this.
United States by a hostile foreign power. This was a very serious attack against the United States by a hostile foreign power, an attack against our election process, our entire governing process. We know that the attack is continuing. The president and the Republicans in the House, for that matter, refuse to do anything about protecting us from an attack. Imagine if FDR had denied that the Japanese attacked us at Pearl Harbor and didn't react. That's the equivalent.
Viewers can look up on Urban Dictionary what dog walking someone means.
Now, Tommy Lauren, but you heard it. Can you imagine, John, if FDR didn't react to the Japanese bomb in Pearl Harbor? That's the equivalent. And this guy was one of the Russiagators through and through. Oh, yeah. I said Jerry Nadler is the Adam Schiff of fucking New York. Excuse my French for cursing, Mom. Sorry, Mom. But once again, Jerry Nadler is the Adam Schiff of New York. This guy, he also was one of the reauthorizations of the Patriot Act, which was called the Freedom Act. Mm-hmm. And you know, this is the thing that's kind of confusing for him. The reason why I brought this particular article up, if we go to the second paragraph, Johnny, it says the act sponsored by the prominent New York Democratic Jerry Nadler. Now remember, the Freedom Act is just the Patriot Act revised. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Jerry kind of did his little drama in Congress. Said, we shouldn't be storing the data. In other words, he was talking about storing the data. But who cares about who's storing the data when they can look through all the fucking data anyways? Yeah. They can still look through everything just because they don't keep it stored. You know what I'm saying? That was his whole... The act sponsored by the prominent New York Democrat Jerry Nadler passed 284 to 122, despite the efforts of prominent progressives, hashtag, like AOC, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, Premia, who opposed it. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, urged her fellow Democrats to vote on the legislation. They're claiming that if we don't have a bill, then our civil liberties are less protected. So this is what they're talking. If we can't have the ability to spy on you,
then our civil liberties are just under the water.
That's what these people are. That's what these Debbie Wasserman Schultz, these Nancy Pelosi's, these Chuck Schumers, these Adam Schiffs, these Jerry Nadlers, they constantly regurgitate CIA talking points. And this is the person. Now, you're against the bill, so this is just theatrics then. Because you're going to go there and you're going to stand behind the man?
Right. This is what they do. And this is what AOC started doing with the CARES Act. She started going off and saying this is wrong and then standing behind it. Right? And so we put her in there to be opposition to these people, not fall in line. And she's falling in line. So I don't know if you guys are mad, but you should be. Because just on that alone, to fall in line with people like Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler, what the fuck is the point of electing progressives into Congress and calling them progressive and doing all this shit and donating to their campaigns if they're going to do the same thing that Nancy Pelosi's doing, except they're going to say they're so against it, and at the end of the day, they're still going to stand behind it, and then they're going to go and endorse the non-progressive candidate instead of the progressive ones. I mean, none of these people have endorsed Shahid Buttar. None of these people have endorsed Jen Perlman. None of these people have endorsed any of progressive Joshua Collins. None of these people have endorsed. Why? At the very least, endorse the progressive. Yeah. She said she would. She said she was going to endorse progressives against incumbents. That's not what's happening here.
They let Sema Hernandez out to dry. They left her out to dry, Sema Hernandez.
She endorsed her freaking fake opponent. Who lost terribly because she was awful. Yeah. Well. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders comes in with, like 1986 Bernie would punch this Bernie because, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So smack him in the face, huh?
Yeah. So you guys know Joshua Collins is running in Washington, and people were have been asking Bernie, they've been asking AOC, they've been asking a lot of people to endorse Joshua, or even just don't endorse if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, but why don't they do that? Yeah. Why didn't AOC just shut her fucking mouth? Say, I'm not endorsing any. Mom, sorry. She just wanted to just shut her mouth and just not endorse anybody. Just shut up. Just don't do nothing.
So Bernie said in a tweet, he endorsed Beth Doglio, and he said she helped lead the passage of legislation in Washington state to provide more resources to address homelessness and to empower workers. She is no stranger to taking on powerful corporations such as Amazon. We need her leadership on progressive issues in Congress. So also Pramila Jayapal endorsed her, but I just want to point out she just had and I'm just going to show the website, but she was just currently scheduled to speak at this event sponsored by Shell and VP. She takes fossil fuel money, and she took it during this last election. So again, right? You talk about climate change, Bernie.
Look at the prices.
We want I know the prices are out of control.
Ridiculous.
We want a Green New Deal. We want climate change. We want, and Joshua told me all this, but also people in Washington have said she's not for Medicare for all. She says she's open to it in the future. This is the rhetoric they use to get progressives to support them. And we're talking about, climate change here. How the hell are we going to combat climate change when you're taking oil money? Like, I'm so sorry, Bernie, but this is just bullshit. Like, how are you going to say you want a Green New Deal when you're supporting a candidate that takes oil money and it does paid sponsorships for BP and Shell, one of the biggest oil companies in the world? I mean, we're talking oil is one of the number one things that is keeping us from relying on new technology, whether it's wind power, whether it's solar power, whether it's hemp, whatever it is. Oil is our dependence on it is also pushing us towards wars. It's pushing our imperialism into other countries. How are you going to say that you are going to stand behind that? And I mean, like I said, if you don't know about Joshua Collins or you don't agree or he's too leftist for you, then don't endorse anybody. But I don't understand the point of endorsing a person that is really embedded in oil money. And, Jason Call's opponent, too, another one in Washington State that was heavily embedded with oil money. And they happen to be pro-war. Remember Adam Smith as well.
Yeah, Pramila
Jayapal, yeah.
Jayapal endorsing her over Sarah Smith just was so... That was years ago, and that hurt so much. But it's the same type of shit going on. I mean, it's like, Bernie was he was done with the movement.
Yeah.
He let everybody down. He was walking away. It's like he's turning back around and giving you another kick while you're fucking down. Yeah. It's just terrible. It's just a shame to see this going on. And the state of the Democratic Party where we're at, all these elections. I mean, I think it's just so ironic that, progressives' number one issue is Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. Yeah. And yet they're putting forth a candidate in Joe Biden who said he'll veto Medicare for all and took fracking money in the beginning of his campaign.
Is going to continue taking fracking money.
Yeah, was the vice president for the fracker-in-chief. Said nothing for Standing Rock and any of that shit went around. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Ben Raleigh says, no cameras. Are you kidding me? What is he talking about?
Oh, the shooting of the gentleman here.
No camera. Oh yeah. Well,
the businesses had no cameras.
Yeah, well.
They said they didn't even check. So.
All right. So another super chat contribution from Mook Juice, MTHAKORE. Mook Juice, how you doing, buddy? It's good to hear from you. Good to see you. I'm glad you're watching. I'll be stationed in Sydney, Australia next week. I'd love to host you guys if you want to go on vacation.
Johnny wants to go
there. Dude, Mook Juice, you haven't gone
Johnny
to
Australia.
Twitter? Johnny Australia. Johnny Walkabout.
Johnny Loss. Sorry. It's just funny.
Oh, we got another super chat contribution right here. Keel Jones, AOC and the squad were very instructional. They showed us that electing insurgents in hopes of reforming the system is a waste.
It's a waste of time. 100% agree. And the least disappointing has been Ilhan Omar. But, I still feel like she has been the least disappointing, but she's still, okay, so the logical person, the fucking strategist, sorry for my potty mouth, the strategists are always like,
sorry, Mom.
She's got to play ball a little bit because, that way she can go and gain power. How many times have we done that? Obama is a huge, example of that. It doesn't work. They get you, they bully you, they scare you into doing as they say, or you're going to lose your position, and then you do it. What she should be doing is what Shama Sawant is doing. It's using the people and the people's power and the protesters and all of this movement behind her. If she did that, are you kidding me? She'd have everybody out in the streets. She would, because she has that kind of a platform that she can reach a lot of people, but she's not doing that. It's a waste of time, and neither is Bernie Sanders.
I still think about the time I saw John Boehner cry. He couldn't get a deal with Obama because the Freedom Caucus said no.
Yeah.
They went in there like, we're not playing ball.
Yeah,
you
just don't play ball.
And then they threw Eric Cantor out. They supported his opponent, and he won, taking out a powerful man like Cantor. And we thought the same thing was happening with AOC, is what we thought, but no. Just the opposite direction.
No, we're alone. This is why we don't have power in the electorate. They give up their power without getting anything in return.
Nothing.
Zero. See?
Zero.
Just like.
You hear that, Ma? Zero. My mom, she goes to New York here and there. Jerry Nadler. Oh, my Lord. My aunt lives in Jerry Nadler's district.
And speaking of Democrats and Republicans, we're constantly told,
or leftists and rightists.
We're constantly told, fam,
yes,
that we need to vote for Joe Biden because of the Supreme Court.
Yes,
because Joe Biden is going to appoint better Supreme Court judges, because our Ruth Bader Ginsburg is she's on her last leg and she's ready to go, and so we need to vote for Joe Biden just because of that. Not attacking the root problem that we shouldn't have. They should have term limits, for crying out loud, right? But I always come back with, why do you assume that Joe Biden is going to appoint a better judge than Donald Trump? I mean, they're both throughout history, they've been appointing conservative judges in general.
Yeah.
And now the queen, the RBG, the woman that a lot of us have looked up to when we were younger as women, she was a Supreme Court judge. She led the fight. She was a feminist, all of these things. In the Supreme Court, this is by Robbie Jager, who does wonderful research. Neil Gorsuch ruled in favor of LGBT and discrimination protection. So the Republican conservative guy that I'm not a huge fan of at all, ruled in favor to protect the LGBT community from discrimination, because remember, that was pushed by the really right-wing end of the Republican Party, and he ruled against that. He said, no, we're going to protect these people. Simultaneously, Ruth Bader Ginsburg ruled in favor of running an oil pipeline through a national park, and this would be through the Appalachian Mountains. As if our earth isn't already contaminated, as if we don't already have such reliance on oil. Hence why I'm so pissed at AOC and Bernie for supporting these pro-oil people. Because again, you talk about a Green New Deal, you talk about climate change. Why the hell does it matter if I vote for Trump or Biden if Democrats are also supporting oil pipelines?
Dude,
look
at that.
The world's upside down. We have the Democrat voting for big oil to build their pipelines, and then we have the Republican voting to protect the LGBTQ community, right?
Yep. Look at the Noel U. Johns, Johnny. Do you see that one with that guy sliding through?
It's different.
Oh my God! Come on, you got to put. When there's a fat guy there, you gotta put a fat guy to get.
Plus, it just relates.
You gotta. Come on, please.
Do you want to
slip
inside?
There it is. He goes there on a roll. Woo!
Yeah.
I can do something like that.
I think they thought that nobody was going to notice because we're all dealing with the pandemic, economic collapse. We're dealing with an election. We're dealing with possible war. We're just going to slide this in here, RBG. Queen RBG. Come on, man.
Hey, guys. Keep up the good job, says Vera Romeo. Vera Romeo. Thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch, fam. We got 234 people watching on our YouTubes, and we got 8, 9. We need 10. We need 11. We need 12 on our ROKFIN. Hook us up. And thank you to the 90-plus Patreons. We're coming up on 100. We're also coming up on 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen,
subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe.
And you know what? Hit that thing right there. Just hit that thing right over there. I got the barcode.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Barcode. He gave it to me yesterday. Okay, so things we missed last week. Tupac. I think it's the anniversary of his birthday.
Over Biggie.
Or maybe his death. I can't remember which one. But I saw a lot of Tupac videos trending on YouTube and whatnot. And this is one of his last interviews. Remember Ray, our old manager, John? Ray talked about this interview right here because Tupac was understanding what was going on. Listen to the rhetoric. Listen what he's saying. This is some good shit. It was his birthday yesterday, so yeah. I saw Fred Hampton Jr. put some stuff up in Tupac.
This world is such a and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a gimme. Everybody back off. Everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. If you want to be successful, you want to be like Trump. Gimme, push, step, crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stopped. Just, I feel like, instead of us just being like, slavery's bad, slavery's down, bad whitey. I mean, all right, let's stop that. And everybody's smart enough to know that, we've been slighted. And we want ours. And I don't mean by, ours, 40 acres and a mule, because we're past that. but we need help. I mean, for us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth or us meaning black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help because we have been here. We have been a good friend. If you want to make it a relationship type thing, we have been there, and now we deserve our payback. It's like you got a friend that you don't never look out for. You know, you dressed up in jewels. Now America's got jewels, and they paid and everything, and they lending money to everybody except us. And it's like, you know, everybody need a little help on their way to being, you know, self-reliant. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about the album, about the Special Olympics. Everybody need a little something and they to be independent. No independent person just grew up and was born independent. You worked and you learned teamwork and you learned cooperation and unity and struggle, and then you became independent. And we have to teach that and instill that. And why is it that they want to do that? I mean, if this is truly a melting pot in the country where we care about it, and Lady Liberty got a hand like this, she really loves us, then we really need to be like that. And it needs to be the black kids. If there's a white person who got money, then he need to help them. He need to help black kids, Mexican kids, Korean kids, whatever. But it need to be real. And it need to be before we all die, and then you say, oh, I made a mistake. We should have gave them some money. We really should have helped these folks. It's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you got to pay your own karma. And that's when God make you punish, when God punishes you. Because I feel like, you know, it's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for $36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants.
What do you say to people that say, well, they earned it? Now you go out and you're earning it.
If they earned it, then I think that that's good, and I think that they deserve it. But even if you earned it, you still owe. Because look at me, I don't have that mega money, but I feel guilty walking by somebody. I got to give them some mail. And if I know I got $3,000 in my pocket, I feel like it's wrong to give that person a quarter or $1. It's wrong. Only you know what you got in your pocket. And that's wrong. No matter what they do, if they take it and drink it, they take it and drink it. But, I mean, you got. You understand? And we all know how hard it is, and it's not about if you good or you bad. So since it's not about if you good or you bad, we know that because he don't got don't mean he was bad. Or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or a drug addict, or none of that. It just means he don't got. And ain't it bad that you got 30? I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million? $32 million. And this person has nothing, and you can sleep. You can still go to the movies about, I mean, and then these are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. Millionaires. How can they be humanitarians? By the fact that they millionaires and there's so many poor people shows how unhumane they are. You know what I'm saying? And that bugs me. Not saying that when I'm never going to be rich, and you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying it's a struggle, and I think everybody deserves. And I think there's a way to pay these people. I think there is a way. It just takes to be revolutionary. And it takes to do something out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if we just said, okay, I got an idea. No more porno buildings. You know what I'm saying? Let's build houses. Or no more polo games. Let's build houses for poor people. You know what I'm saying? Or, look, okay, I know you're rich. I know you got $40 billion. But can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me. It don't. And then these people celebrate Christmas. They got big trees, huge trees, all the little trimmings. Everybody got gifts, and then somebody's starving. And they're having a white Christmas. They're having a great Christmas, eggnog and the whole 9. That's not fair to me.
There you go. So now you understand shortly after why Tupac was killed.
Yeah.
He was really starting to get it. You know what I'm saying? I always talked about Tupac, always was like, you know, the politicalness. He was starting to see it. You know what I'm saying? He was really starting to grasp it. And these conversations this are a reason why they put him 6 feet under, because he had so much power. He was growing so big. He was so looked upon. He was going to be bigger than light. I mean, he was just starting to really hit his stride. Yeah. And they killed him because of words like this, fam.
And he put it in phrases that the common folk could understand. And I don't mean that degradingly. I just mean like a lot of people don't understand the political language that these pundits speak. And of course, none of these pundits were speaking this clearly. And he mentioned Donald Trump.
Yeah, back
which
then.
is really interesting to me. Like, he's like prophetic. You know, it's interesting. I mean, and he would have been so disgusted by Jeff Bezos I mean, the point we've reached right now is I'm kind of glad he's not here, because he would have been absolutely entirely disgusted.
Tupac would have probably been really critical of Obama's actions too.
Absolutely.
As well. You can just see what he's talking about when it came to the impoverished and whatnot. And you know, they killed the good ones. You know, we were talking a lot about Fred Hampton, and guy was 21 years old, and he was so far ahead of his times and bringing a rainbow coalition together. That's what they really feared. They killed him. That, you know, that's when they killed Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? Early Malcolm X, they'll let him live, but late Malcolm X, when he evolved and he was really bringing shit together, man, that's when they said, no, he's got to go. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. talking about Poor People's Campaign. Oh, no, he's got to go. You bring people together, you are gone. Fred Hampton, Tupac, we're starting to see it. I always talked about, you know, Biggie really installed personal confidence. Like, you should be happy who you are, proud of who you are. You know what I'm saying? Together, the two of these guys, you know, it was almost like they forced this kind of like, fights and divide between these two people and that. You know, I wonder if Suge Knight was paid by the CIA to cause shit up. Also, too, the reason why I wanted to mention, and to close it on out too, fam, the anniversary of the Liberty. It was June 8th last week of when, pretty much a lot of people talked about when Israel attacked the United States. I put up this article because just showing that we keep things in wrap. 50 years later, the NSA keeps details of Israel's U.S. Liberty attack a secret. Now, this was in 2017. They still haven't released a lot of information. But if you don't know what happened, on June 8th, 1967, very well identified, it was the USS Liberty, a United States vessel, which was you could say it was a spy vessel. It would intercept all communications going around the world, decode it, whatnot. Israel was our ally. Those Israel planes flew by several times. They were on the deck getting sun. I mean, this was like a really cool. If you were in the United States Navy, if you were aboard this vessel, you were part of the privilege. You had a very important job, but it was like decked out with air conditioning because it had all this material, all these machines that decoded things. And once again, we were friends with Israel. And the reason why I bring this up, it's almost like when we talk about the Epstein case, like who's running things. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying it's one country. I'm saying it's elites. But I've always been very critical of, Israeli elites, too, and what they're doing, who controls of the monetary system, and they attack this vessel. They wanted to sink this vessel. They wanted to kill everybody aboard this vessel, fam, because what they wanted to do was use that as an excuse and blame it on the other countries, blame it on Egypt, blame it on the other countries that are involved in the war, so then, therefore, Israel can expand, it's expansionist, and kill and bomb more and more countries. But unfortunately for Israel, and fortunately for us, the boat stayed afloat. They survived. Even Lyndon Johnson covered up for Israel, saying, it was a mistake. But it really goes to the heart of, like, who's really running things. Like, who's really doing things. Because it was covered up. Israel never had to pay for its actions. They said it was a mistake, and it was no mistake. They even had holiday colors on this boat, which means it's a flag that's twice the size. They knew what was going on. They got caught. 30 members died from a torpedo that hit the side. You know what I'm saying? It's disgusting. 34 Americans to be exact, 171 wounded. They did everything disgusting. They sunk the lifeboats as they were throwing them in the water. Israeli boats went in there and sunk them. They tried to hit them with 4 torpedoes, 1 hit. It's just a sad, sad day, but it makes you think about the deep, dark secrets of imperialism, of the elites, what they're doing, who's playing games, you know what I'm saying? Because Johnson forgave them like this. There was no price to be held for what they did. So
it just shows the alliance between the U.S. and Israel even to this day.
Yeah.
And especially regarding Israel-Palestine.
Yeah, and they won't give answers. It's same thing with Saudi Arabia. Remember when Trump promised all this information about the hijackers, whatnot? No, those people who lost family members in 9/11 still have not gotten the truth. These people right here from the Liberty, they're still alive. A lot of them, they meet every year on June 8th. They didn't meet this year because of the coronavirus. It almost slipped by us. Sorry for missing it, because the USS Liberty it's once again, it's that conversation about who's at the top, who's running things, who's pulling the strings, and who we got to concentrate and taking the hell out.
Yeah.
Fam, you got anything else?
No, fam. Johnny, you have anything? Okay.
Nope. All right, so Johnny's going on his way. Tomorrow we have a couple interviews, right, John? We do. We have Raji Robb on at 4 o'clock. If you don't know who Raji Robb is, he's got a case going. He took it all the way to the Supreme Court
regarding
when it comes to election integrity. His election against Brad Sherman, who was also a Jerry Nadler disciple, arm of the deep state, against our civil liberties. Let's vote for this, Patriot Act. The Freedom Act. That's who Brad Sherman is. Raji Robb ran against him. He was a very progressive candidate, and he's looking for transparency. He's looking at answers. Johnny's been doing a hell of a lot of homework on that. And then after Raji Rob, we're going to do Brent Turner at 6 o'clock. Brent Turner is an open source advocate. He's going to talk about everything open source. We're going to clear the air for these people who are out there saying that, oh, it's public, it's open source. It is not. Our systems in LA. They still use the same tabulation machines for years.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about the history of what's been going on. Grant money was given because through this whole quest, fam, I've kind of said that no matter what, the first thing we have to do to get election integrity is throw the corporations out. Throw the companies out. The three major companies, Dominion, ES&S, all these companies who own these machines, who we don't even know who owns the company, because they're shadow companies of another shadow companies who have proprietary software on our machines. We have to throw them out. We, the people, need to own our stuff. It doesn't stop there with open source, like open source and we're done. No, there's a lot of things that need to be done. There's a lot of people who don't want to deal with computers because they feel no matter what, they're always subject to be hacked and changed.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things. We have to overhaul the whole system. And I think it starts with throwing the corporations out, injecting open source so we, the people, own the software and the computers.
Agreed, fam.
I'm also interviewing an activist earlier in the day.
An activist early in the day. Johnny interview.
For
Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella,
Jonny Tsunami.
Peace.
Convo out.
We love you guys.